here, and we're going to get going here with our program on using ride-sharing apps. And welcome, everyone. My name is Doreen Striley. I am with AARP North Dakota, and AARP is doing this program with our friends from Senior Planet, partners of ours, and we're just really thrilled to be working with them and all of that. And we want to give a special welcome to 4 libraries who are joining us from across the state. We've got the West Fargo Library, Grand Forks, Minot, and then the Bismarck Veterans Memorial Public Library, as well as the Grand Forks Senior Center. So we're really glad to have you joining us as a watch party, as a group, learning together in a setting like that. So welcome, and thank you for being part of it. This program is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel afterwards, so you can get at that as well. AARP does a lot of work to improve the lives of people 50 plus as we age, so we can live our best lives and learn good things and learn about tools that can help us, technology and more. And I think this program, you'll find a lot of folks who are interested in lifelong learning, and promoting brain health is so important among learning. You know, when you learn new things, you promote your brain health. And we're just thrilled to have such great trainers with us today. And now it's my pleasure to welcome and turn things over to Wanda Woods and Inaris Diaz from Senior Planet. So I'm going to hand it off to Wanda, and she is going to share more information on how our afternoon is going to proceed. So welcome, Wanda and Inaris.
Thank you, Doreen. And welcome everyone to today's lecture on ride sharing, as Doreen had mentioned. My name is Wanda. I'm out in Colorado, and then we have Inaris, my colleague. She's out in New York, and we will be your host and co-host today for today's lecture. For those of you who don't know already about Senior Planet, we are part of the AARP family. We're called Senior Planet from AARP, and we are a national program that's designed for people who are 60 and older. However, because we are affiliated with AARP, we do welcome anyone 50 and older to join us. We offer thousands of free online classes to help us build technology skills. We are focused on what technology can do to enhance your life, whether it's to improve your health, save money, make new friends, and thrive in today's technology world, digital world. If you'd like to know more about our programs and join our programs, please visit us at our website, which is www.seniorplanet.org, and we'll add that in the chat. And also, we do have a handout for today's program, and we will share that in the chat with you also. So let's go on ahead and get started with the presentation. I'm going to share my screen. And here's what we will go over today. What is ride sharing? There's pros and cons to everything, so why not ride sharing? Uber, the two that we're going to focus on today is one is called Uber and the other one is called Lyft. There's ride sharing options. We'll talk about the different fares, how you can tip and how you can rate your drivers, and then other apps that are out there. So, has anyone ever used ride sharing apps before? And if you have, which ones? And when you needed a ride somewhere, what did you usually do? Did you needed to go to the store or to work or whatever? Has anyone ever used Uber or Lyft? You can add it in the chat. Yes or no? Just trying to get an idea. Marnie says she's used both.
I have as well. Here in New York, it's not something that, it's needed, but if you want to get somewhere fast, that's the way to go.
I don't use it so much. Only time I really use it if we're traveling. But um, my sister uses it all the time because she doesn't drive, so she uses mainly Uber. I've heard her say Uber, but she used both.
Hmm. Yeah, it's quick, and depending on the time, it might not be too bad.
Hmm.
Tammy wrote yes when traveling.
Hmm. Amanda says when we have one person at the senior center who has one person at the senior center who has, but her niece has set it up for.
Mhm. That's good to know, because sometimes
Yeah.
you can actually like order a ride for someone else, just not yourself. That's a good point to make.
Hmm. And we'll give you an overview of how you can order a ride. It's hard to go through the whole steps, all the steps, because they need your phone number and they need your credit card information. So I can only take you so far. But just to give you an idea what it looks like in order to order a ride. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Let's go on ahead and go forward here. So, what is ride sharing? So with ride sharing, you can order a ride on the internet using a website, or you can download an app to arrange these on demand rides in private vehicles. So one of the main differences with ride sharing is the drivers are using their own vehicles versus like a taxi cab. Um, Another word for ride sharing, another term that's used for ride sharing, when we talk about the apps, when you say ride sharing apps, sometimes people will call them hailing apps. And you can, like I said, you can uh, use the website or you can use the apps. Most people use the apps because you usually have your phone. And when you do need a driver, do need a car, you usually a computer is usually not available unless you're just ordering one from home. But like someone like me and someone else in the chat who also mentioned when you're traveling, you don't really have a computer with you. So more than likely you're um, ordering it through your phone. Um, One of the main differences between ride sharing and taxis or black car services, like a limousine service, is, as I mentioned before, that the drivers for Uber and Lyft, they use their own personal cars. Um, One of the things that when you do order a ride, it will let you know, um, it'll give you a little bit of information about the vehicle that will be picking you up. So it'll give you what type of car it is, what color it is. It'll have its driver's license, not the driver's license, but the car license plate number, so that when the car does pull up, you can identify it and know that's the one that's the car you ordered. Um, it's a billion dollar industry and it's part of what's called the sharing economy. So another type of sharing economy would be something like an Airbnb. A lot of you probably heard of Airbnbs where you rent um, someone else's property if you're on vacation or whatever you may need that for. There's another one called TaskRabbit, and TaskRabbit is a sharing service where you, just as the name says, you would order someone to help you do things around the house, different tasks around the house. Like, for example, if you need furniture put together, or if you need cleaning, or if you need a TV hung, or that type of thing, there's an organization called TaskRabbit. And then there's another organization called WeWork. And WeWork is where if you have a business or if you need a meeting place, if your business is not in a brick and mortar and you need some place to meet, and what you can do is you can order these sharing services for a meeting place, a room where you can meet someone. So those are just other examples of what's called that's part of the sharing economy. Again, it's over $1 million industry. And the way that the apps work is it uses the GPS in your phone to know where the drivers are. So when you do order a driver, the app will let you know how far away or how close the driver is to you. And you can pay by credit card, you can use PayPal, or you can use Venmo to pay for that ride.
I just want to point out that it's always best when you use it. At least I always use it on my phone. I've never actually used it on a website, but because it's always good because I never actually know, not never know. I usually don't know where I am, or I'm really bad with directions. So when I just put, to pick me up at a certain location, I already know, like I can just put, my location and it automatically knows exactly where I am. So that's great for me because again, I don't usually know where I am. I'm really bad with directions.
Right, right. And like Anira said, you could just tell it to look at your location. So my location. So you don't have to tell it where you're at because of the GPS in your system. You're just telling it where I'm at now. That's where I
Yeah.
want you to pick me up. So yeah, thanks. So here's a couple of discussion questions. As one of the overview listings said, we're going to talk about some pros and cons. But before we get there, what would you say the pros and cons of ride sharing apps could be? And as if anyone has used one of these ride sharing apps, can anyone share a positive experience with using one of these? So first off, what would a pro and a con be with these types of apps, do you think? Let's talk about that. Can anyone think of anything? You can write it in the chat.
I think for me is what you mentioned before, Wanda, that you know exactly who picks, like the license plate of the person, so you know exactly who's picking you up. It's not just someone from the corner saying, "Oh, this person needs a taxi. Let's go to them now," right? It's all about the safety of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Any
One
other?
convenience, another convenience could be, especially with the holidays coming around and you may not feel like, driving to that holiday party or that type of thing. You may want someone to chauffeur you and chauffeur you back. So, it just comes in handy during that time of the year also.
Very true, very true. And sometimes, at least here in New York, it's also about like sometimes it's cheaper. Like, let's say if you want to go to the airport, sometimes it's cheaper to actually just take an Uber or a Lyft to the airport than having, if no one else can drop you off, than actually paying like for a week's worth of parking. Like it's just cheaper, more affordable, I would say, if it's like that as well.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Okay, let's go on ahead and go to the next slide here. So here's what is on the slide here, some pros and cons. The pros, we'll start with the pros first. It's easily, you can easily find rides anytime, anywhere. And another good pro is you can see how much that ride is going to cost you before you even book the ride. So that's why sometimes people use Uber and Lyft, is because they'll see how much it is and they say, okay, let me go over here to Lyft and see how much they'll charge for this. And let's see how far out they are. Because it may be where you may be in a hurry and Lyft may be a little less expensive, but they may not be able to come for another 10 minutes. And you need to really have someone there in 2 minutes. So more expensive. So it does give you that where you can do some comparison shoppings in that way. You can check the reviews of your driver. So you can see, what type of driver and what kind of ratings that they have. All drivers, they go through a regular background check. So back in 2018, Uber announced that it would conduct yearly background checks on drivers. So they do have a regular background check process there. And another pro is a lot of times drivers, they use this as a side gig. Some people use this as a gig, after they retire. There's a lady, I'll show you this article real quick from Senior Planet. And this lady here, it's an old article, it's back in 2016, but her name was Marianne Buchanan. And back then, her company downsized, and she was 62 at the time, and she just wasn't ready to retire. So she went to school to be a nurse's aide, and then that only lasted for a little while. And then she's, still wanted something to do. So a friend of hers who was 68 told her about doing Uber. And so she started doing Uber, when she was around 65. So I don't know if she's still doing it now, but it's just another way of making a little extra income. That could be a pro. And Anera said at that article in the chat if anyone's interested in reading more about it, her experience. So here's some cons. So one of the cons is there's not enough vehicles that are accessible. So what that means, like wheelchair accessible and that type of thing. It's not enough of those. And there's a thing called surge pricing. And surge pricing is sometimes called dynamic pricing, which means that it goes by supply and demand. So the pricing can change. So depending on the day, depending on the time of the year, depending on the weather, sometimes the prices can change. So Doreen had mentioned in North Dakota, you guys are having some warm weather. We're having some nice weather here in Denver also. But it can easily change tomorrow. It can easily change tonight for that matter. And so today's price is, if I was to call it Uber today, it may cost me, depending on where I'm going, it may cost me $10. But if tomorrow, if we have like 5 feet of snow, it may cost me $20 because of the risk of the drivers driving in the snow. So that's one of the cons there. There was some controversy in regards to how Uber, more so Uber, was treating their drivers, because one thing, they don't get benefits, the drivers don't get benefits, and the companies are not always transparent about the percentage that they take on fares. So the companies do take a percentage of the fares, but they don't give you a hardcore number of what that percentage is. And then also there's a lack of regulation. So Uber, give me a little bit of background about Uber. Uber. It was founded back in 2009, and it was a way to hail cabs. Well, back then, when they first started, Uber only used it was only used for like luxury car services, and the price was about 1.5 times the price of a taxi. But since then, as we all know, there's different types of vehicles that you can get through Uber. You don't have to just get a luxury um, a luxury vehicle anymore. And then they came out with the app. The app came out a year later, and it is available in over 600 cities worldwide. So Uber is worldwide versus Lyft, and we'll find out that about Lyft. Lyft is only available in the United States and Canada. This is what an example of what the app looks like when you're ordering a vehicle. And down here will give you your options of what type of vehicle that you may want to order. And we'll go into that a little bit later on the slides. But this is just an example of what your app will look like in order to order a vehicle. And then Uber also started a couple of other services, one called Uber Eats. You may have seen the commercials for those, and that's where you can order food. And then there's Uber for Businesses. And what Uber for Businesses is used for, it allows businesses to set up accounts that their employees can use. These are two different apps. So you have Uber Eats, and Uber for Business. They're all different apps, but they're all Uber. And then there was a company called Jump, and Jump was a bike sharing app, and Uber bought that also. So when you're in the Uber app, you can also order a bike instead of a car in the app. Let me show you real quick where Uber is available. So, and we'll add this link in the chat for you. And when you scroll down, it'll, in the United States, it'll give you all a list of all the cities that has Uber. And I was trying to see, I know there was someone here from Minute, I think, or Minute. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. But I'm trying to see if they have an Uber there, but I don't see any place where they have an Uber there. I know there's a Bismarck, North Dakota. So they do have services in Bismarck. So here you can find out if they do have Uber available in your city. Any questions so far before we go on to Lyft? Anyone have any questions? Comments?
Just a quick question, Wanda. This is Doreen. So when you were looking at that, you were looking at the Uber website on your computer. That is where you see all that, the listing of the cities and that kind of thing. It's not necessarily on your phone, probably, but yeah.
Right. That was on the website.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Lyft. So Lyft was founded 3 years after Uber. It was founded in 2012. And it was a competition for Uber at one time. And that's because in the beginning, as I had mentioned before, Uber was just mainly using their services to order luxury cars. And so when Lyft came out, their service was to use, you can order different types of cars. But then, of course, Uber changed that. And so, but sometimes people, I've heard people say that they like Lyft better because they have a better reputation. So it's becoming from their point of view. So it's becoming Uber's competition in the U.S. Between 2015 and 2017, Uber's share, because Uber was the main ride sharing app before 2015, but between 2015 and 2017. Uber's share of the U.S. Ride sharing app market declined from 90% to 75%. And then in 2017, Lyft more than doubled its number of rides from the previous year. So it just started growing. Again, it's only available in the US and Canada. And you can also order a bike or scooter in certain select cities. And then also and those cities that you can order a scooter in is in the Bay Area, Chicago, Columbus, here in Denver, the DC metro area, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, New York City, and Portland. So those are only the cities right now where you can do a bike or scooter share. But also what Lyft has is they have what's called a roundup and donate feature. And what that means is when you pay for the ride, you can round up your ride. So if your ride is $10.50, you can round it up to $11. And you can tell the app which organization you would like this to be, your 50 cents to be donated to. So it does have that feature, whereas Lyft, Uber doesn't have that. Then you have Curb, and Curb is only in some select cities. It's available in around 30 cities in the US, and that includes New York City, DC, Boston, Austin, Dallas, Nashville, Los Angeles, Miami, and Chicago. So those are some of the main cities that it's in. It began in 2007 as a service for business travelers. And what it does, you're using the taxi service versus using someone's personal vehicle. And it connects you to fully licensed and insured taxi drivers. It allows you to pay for it with a credit card and PayPal's for rides booked on the app. So there's an app where you can just use this to order a cab. And then also you can use it, this is a feature called Pair and Pay. And you can also use it if you hail a taxi, like for example, in New York City, if you hail your own taxi on the street, you can still use this app to pay for drivers. So that's a pretty neat feature. And unlike Lyft and Uber, where you can rate your drivers, you can't rate the drivers on the Curb app. And with Uber and Lyft, not only can you rate the drivers, but the drivers can rate the passengers also.
Which is really good to know, because if I if I like set up a ride for a family member or a friend, I very much tell them, be nice, do not say anything to the driver, just be nice, be polite, because I do not want my rating to go down. The same way that I rate them, I do not want my rating to go down. So that's really important as well, because then from depending on your rating, you might also get discounts and things like that, in the near future. So that's good to know.
Yes, that's really good to know. Okay, ride options. So as I had mentioned before, when you order a vehicle from Lyft or Uber, you can order the type of ride or type of vehicle that you may want, that you may need. So here's the Lyft app. This is what it looks like in the Lyft app. And you can order a shared vehicle, or you can order a Lyft type vehicle, or you can order the Lyft XL. And the difference between these all, as you notice here, that the shared one is a little less expensive here. And that's because you're sharing this ride with someone else. So someone else may be going in the same direction you're going. And so you're sharing that ride with them. So because of that little bit of an inconvenience, the rate is a little less. And then you can get the regular Lyft vehicle. And as I had mentioned before, when you order these vehicles, it'll tell you what type of vehicle it is. But this particular vehicle has 4 seats, so it can hold 4 passengers, and this is how much it's gonna cost. And then this one's a promo was applied to it. And then you have the Lyft XL, and the Lyft XL is sometimes it's like an SUV or a minivan, so it holds more people, or either holds more cargo. So it may just be 4 people, but you may have a lot of cargo. So you may need a bigger vehicle. So that's what this is. And you notice it's a little bit more expensive than just a regular Lyft drive. And then Uber, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. The shared option has been a very popular thing. And it was actually something that during COVID, it was taken off. That way it was only like one family or like one person per car. In the most recent months, though, it has been added back to the list. Excuse me. And it's very important to look at the times, like the arrival times that you'll get to where you're going, as well as the price, because sometimes it is convenient. Oh, it's only, it's $10-15 cheaper, but you might get there 20 minutes after your scheduled time or whatever it is, because just like Wanda said, you are somehow picking someone else up on the way to your location. So it might be that, at least in New York, I've used it a few times, and I'm very conscious of my arrival time at my locations, because I know for a fact that it's going to take me a different route than I normally would, just to save that amount of money. So it's good to know that, because again, you might save in money, but you might not be so lucky with time. Or sometimes it might be lucky. You might be very, very lucky that you get a shared ride and it's cheaper and it's only you inside it. That has happened a few times to me, and I just sing when that happens, because I get lucky enough that the driver just doesn't get any pings or dings or anything, and I get a reduced fare. But it doesn't happen too often.
That's a good tip. So you kind of enter at your own risk with the shared one,
Yes. Yes.
and that may come in handy too if you not in a hurry,
Mm-hmm.
and that may be an option. If you're really not in a hurry, you plan accordingly, and you just leave out, especially if you're going to the airport or wherever you're going.
Yeah.
Then you just get a shared ride, and maybe you have to share it and maybe not. So that's a good perk, a good
Yeah.
thing to think about. Um, some, as I mentioned before, there's not very many wheelchair accessible type vehicles. If you want to use that option in Lyft, you have to turn that on and set in your settings. But in Uber, I don't think it'll just automatically show up for you if that vehicle is wheelchair accessible for you. And I believe this is what an Uber uh, app would look like when you're ordering more of a luxury car. And as Anaris had mentioned, here are the times. So this is the time that it'll arrive to you, um, to pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just want to add to the part about the wheelchair accessibility. When you create your account, I think, if I remember correctly, because I did it a while back. One of the questions that it asks you is, your accessibility options, so then that way when you order a Lyft or an Uber, like the app already knows that you need a wheelchair, so you don't have to like look at the options, for something that's bigger. If I remember correctly, that's the way that it does do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Fares, tips, and ratings. Um, you can, for Uber and Lyft, as I had mentioned before, you can rate the drivers, but for Curb, you can't. And both the ride sharing apps include what's called a booking fee. So not only you paying for the ride, that includes a booking fee plus any tolls that you may have to go through. Um, one thing to note, it's important to note that Uber and Lyft, the companies, they do take a percentage of the fare. And they said it comes out to be 20 to 25% of the fare. Now you can tip through the app, or you can tip by giving the driver cash. And when I took an Uber for the first time, this was when we was in New York one time. We took an Uber, and at that time they weren't allowed to take cash tips.
Mhm.
So I guess since then, I get you can give them a cash tip versus putting it in the app. Let's see. With rating the driver, one of the advantages of doing that is it helps to the driver rating helps maintain driver quality. So the company's average driver ratings and contact drivers, if the companies will contact the driver if their ratings are too low. So it does help keep the drivers accountable. And then it also looks good for the company too when you rate your drivers. And then as I mentioned before, it's a two-way rating system. So not only are you rating the driver can also rate the passengers. And after 5 rides on Uber, you can see your average ratings in the app. To see your average on Lyft, you can ask your driver or contact the company. Okay.
Can I just add that going back to the previous slide, it's very important to not only pay attention to, how much something is going to cost you, but also be aware that if a ride from here to to your location, let's say it's like a good 20-minute ride. On a good day, it might, like Wanda mentioned earlier, on a good day, it might be $20, right? Depending on the weather, depending on the traffic, depending on, on the availability of taxis in that area, the prices might really vary, where it might go from $20 to 40 something dollars, right? So it all depends on those three things to keep in mind, because it was like, well, wait a second, I was able to, to get this same taxi, this same location, yesterday or a week ago for this price. How come it went, much higher this time? Is because of that. It's because of how many taxis there are available near you. And also the convenience of it. I know that I have myself, if I know that I'm going to a place where there aren't that many, or not even that aren't that many. Yeah, there aren't that many, or there are going to be like, it's like later on at night where I know for a fact that I might have to wait 20-30 minutes for a ride. I can actually pre-book a ride for the time that I want to travel, which is very, very convenient. So, and then on top of that, of course, they do have the booking fee, the fare, any tolls, anything like that already included, but I can just pre-book it so that when I leave whatever place I'm leaving, I can automatically have a taxi waiting for me.
That's a good point. Very good point. That's a very convenient feature also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And both apps have that, both Uber and Lyft.
Can I ask a quick question? Is it more expensive to pre-book? I've never pre-booked before, and just curious if it is a little more expensive to do it that way.
From my experience, it's been cheaper to do so.
Oh.
It all depends the time that you want to book it for, because like the app also goes, I guess, like they also sync up to their database to see, to see, let's say I want to book, I want to pre-book something for tonight at 8 p.m. to come pick me up. It depends. So based on previous times, they will it might vary. But from my experience, it's been cheaper if I pre-book than actually wait until the time of, especially if I know if it's a certain location or a certain time of the day or night.
Okay, because that would be handy if you have like an early morning flight or something like that and
Yeah.
you want to get, but reliability would be my other concern, making sure that they'd actually show up when they said they were going to. So,
yeah, because the text, okay, so the as you may know, right, since it's an app, all of these things are connected to your phone number, to your cell phone number. So, the same way that when you first book a ride, they send you, hey, thank you for booking. This is your driver is Wanda, her license plate is, and then it tells you the license plate. The same way when you pre-book it, it's gonna tell you, okay, your ride for 8 o'clock has been booked. And then let's say at 7:55, it will let you know, hey, Wanda, let's say your driver again is Wanda, your driver Wanda is now on the way, look for the license plate, blah blah blah. So it's like the same kind of process. I haven't had any experience where they forget that I pre-booked, because it's already in the system.
Good information. Okay. These are the last of the discussion questions, and then I'll just go on the website just to kind of give you an idea how you can order an Uber. So would you be willing to try riding share apps like Uber or Lyft, or the taxi booking app like Curb? And do you know what ride sharing companies are available in your area? So if you're not sure, again, you can use that link. Anaris had added in the chat. You can use that link on how to find an Uber in your area. But would anyone who hasn't used them before, would you be willing to use them now? If you or either there was someone in the chat who was saying that I think their daughter or someone orders it for them, if they would probably feel a little bit more comfortable. Let me go to Uber real quick. And I'm just going to, this is that same website. I'm just going to go to Denver. And this is how, you would do it on the website. Of course, on your app, you just open up the app, but it's similar. This process is still similar. So here you can request a ride, or you can even get a price estimate if you wanted to. You're not even trying to see how much, you're not even trying to get a ride right now, but you can request a ride and you put in your phone number or your email. So I'm just going to use my work email and then click on continue. Then it's going to send me a code to my email. So I'll just go to my email and look for that code to come in my email. Here it is. So all I'm going to do is just copy this code into the website here. And then it's going to send me on through, and then it's going to ask for my phone number, which is optional. I can put in my phone number here, or I can skip it. And then it's going to ask for my first and last name. So as you can see, you just kind of go through the steps here. Just read what it says. And do I agree with the terms? And just click on the check box. And then here's where I start filling it out. So I have a pickup location, a drop-off location. If I wanted to go to the airport, the pickup location, I can put that in there, and then just keep looking, just following the prompts. Do I want them to pick me up now, today, or do I want to schedule a different time? I can do that, schedule a different day. Maybe I want it for tomorrow at that time, and then I'll click next. I still got to put in my pickup location. And once I have all that in there, then the search will come available to me, and then it will look for the ride for me. So it's just that easy to use. It's really simple to use these. Any questions?
Can I join on my phone? Hold on, so I can just like show how it looks in the
Okay.
app. Which I'm trying to see if I can join. Because I think, oh, I just said the wrong ID. Okay, hold on, let me try that again. 972-96-1173. And I, for one, like the fact that it's
I don't know that.
I'm talking to you, Alexa. No, no one was talking to her.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. I don't know. Can you hear me now? Trying to take off the audio. Hold on. I messed up.
Whatever you did, that sound like that. It's not echoing.
It's not an yeah.
Oh, a little bit is. Let's see.
Okay. I'm gonna because I don't know what's going on. Because I'm on my phone. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I'm gonna can you please make my phone
Oh, yeah. Yep. Mm. It won't let me.
Doreen or Marnie, can you
Oh,
please?
yeah.
You can do it.
Okay.
To make your phone a host, a co-host.
Yeah.
Co-host, yeah. So I can just show how it looks on a phone.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find how to make that happen. So
Okay.
apologize for the delay.
That's okay.
I only see you.
I
So
should
do I
be
need,
all the way in the bottom
Hmm.
with just
let's see
my
if maybe,
phone connected, not any audio or anything.
okay, let's see if this helps. It is not showing up. Let's see here.
Do you see her on the screen? Do you see her?
I just see your face, and then there's a green one that's a different person, but I'm not seeing everybody.
You don't see an
There's
Anaris?
one with Anaris's name. It just says Anaris Diaz on it. You see that one?
Hold tight here. Try this further.
Okay, maybe we should just
That is
move
fine.
on. You know, we could just
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah, it's
Well,
fine.
that's the end. That was the
Yeah.
end of the lecture.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just wanted to show.
Mhm.
It's fine. I just wanted to show how it looks on a phone. Because again, it is convenient. And when you order a Lyft or an Uber, you're able to see exactly who's coming to your door, you know, which is really it's really safe, you know, 'cause just like Wanda said, you know, now they go through background checks, but you know, we have to be careful in what cars we're getting in, right? So it's really important that this, you know, that this is that this is something that's done. The other day I had to go to an appointment. I was in a car. No, I left my house, right? And I always look at the license plate. And I'm looking at, and the driver sees me looking at the license plate, and he's like, "Oh no, but it's me." Like he was like, "No, it's me." Let's say his name was Juan. He was like, "No, I'm Juan. I'm good. You know, it's me." And I'm like, "But the license plate is not." I was like, But he knew my name. He knew where I was going. So I was like, he was like, no, I'm sorry. My license, I had like I have it, like I changed cars and I that's and I haven't updated the app yet. Because and the good thing with these apps is they think about your safety. So one of the things is that if for any reason you the driver is not in the right car, the license plate is not the same, their picture is not the one that's on the app, you can actually report them, and then they have to talk to their superior over at the company, like, no, this was a mistake or whatever it was. Like, you can report if something is wrong with your ride, and again, you don't have to get in the car if you don't even actually know who it is, right? So it is very convenient. It's something that, at least here in New York, I really don't see people actually like hailing cabs anymore. Before, it was like, people would like stick their hands out in the corner, and and 100 taxi cabs, will try to get that one person. Not anymore. Now everything is really done because I don't carry cash on me. So being able to just pay with it, with my credit card, it's so much easier. So, and instead of having to hail something, it's just convenient. And like someone else mentioned, you're able to order a taxi or order a car for a family member or a friend, and just let them know what the license plate number is. And then that way they can actually get a ride to where they need to go. So, it gives you different options to think about. And then just, try it out. You never know. But of course, be very mindful of where you're going and how much it's going to cost you. Having both apps, both Lyft and Uber, really help, because they do, like Wanda was saying before, right? Uber came first and then came Lyft. They're competing against each other all the time. So if a ride on Lyft is going to cost you $15.75, I'm pretty sure you're going to get the same ride for the other service, maybe like for $1 or $2 cheaper, because they're going to be competing against each other to know, to like, okay, wait a second, like, we need the customers, right? So just keep that in mind, play around with both and then see which one is more affordable for you.
So knowing what you know, would you be willing to try these ride sharing apps?
I hope the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And if you ever have any questions about how to download the app, how to create an account, anything like that, Marnie said even more than before. I'm glad to hear that, Marnie. You can always call our hotline. The number is 888-713-3495. If you have any questions about Uber, Lyft, anything like that, how to create an account, how to download the app, anything like that, we can always help you out with that. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I also added our website on there. Any classes, we have ongoing classes that you can always participate in. And I've added the handout again to the chat as well, that you can, with some of the information that Wanda went over today.
And we also have a survey.
Yes.
If you want to add that to the chat. And when it's there, if you guys wouldn't mind clicking on that and give us your feedback for today's lecture, that would be fantastic. That lets us know what you liked and what you didn't like. Hopefully you liked it.
Well,
That's it for the lecture. So thank you, you guys.
Oh, this was great. Thank you so much, Wanda and Anaris. I think all of us got a new comfort level with Uber and Lyft, and I know I use them occasionally, and It's just nice to nice to know we have them available in our community because taxi service is just not as plentiful. So, so thank you for that. And I want to also thank not only the two of you as our wonderful trainers today and Senior Planet for being part of this, but I also want to thank my colleagues Marnie Peel and Wendy Hogue, who have been helping in the background. We couldn't do this without a little team effort here. So also have just a few upcoming events to share with you here on the screen. We've got a number of things coming up. You can find everything on aarp.org/nd events. We've got a yoga class coming up that should be really good on shoulder mobility, focusing on that. So looking forward to that. And also we're always looking for volunteers. If you're interested in volunteering with AARP, we've got a lot of different opportunities and ways in which you can do that. You can find out more at aarp.org/I-want-to-volunteer, the number 2. So with that, we want to thank you for being part of this and for joining us today from the different libraries and senior center around the state, and the rest of you who